Welcome to the Sisters of the Shire Podcast. I'm Ashley.
And I'm Abby.
How are you today, Abby?
I was going to say, guess what?
I was going to let you win there for a minute.
So it's been snowing here again. Over it. But
at least you have the snowsuit now.
I know. He got to wear it. I was so excited.
That's why the snow came, so he could wear the snowsuit.
Yes. So we've been inside watching movies and stuff. We watched WALL-E, and we watched...
One of my favorites.
I know! Oh my gosh! I hadn't seen it in a long time, and so when we watched it, I was like, oh,
did you tell them that we saw it in theaters together?
I know. I was like...
Senior trip.
I got to see this when it came out, you guys. And I cried by myself.
Yep. Pretty sure we both cried.
My kids, I get it. They're great movies, but I don't know why my 9 and 7-year-old, and this has been happening for like the past 2 to 3 years. So it's like, it hasn't just been this year, but they are absolutely obsessed with Back to the Future.
Random.
I know, right? I know.
Very random.
I know.
What do you do about that one scene?
You mean the many scenes in all 3 movies? Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I've only seen 1. I've never seen 2 and 3.
The 3rd one's the best. The Western one is my favorite. It's like the best one. The Western one.
Well, I don't know if I want to introduce that to Lizzie.
Let's just say it's the most kid friendly, the Western one.
Is it a gateway drug?
Yeah. No, so now my son is completely obsessed with trying to make a real hoverboard, and he's been making the DeLorean with his Legos. He doesn't have like a DeLorean set, like the official set, but he's like making his own, and
that's adorable.
It's kind of like taking over our house. But I was watching it when my husband is in the room. I'm like, look, it's baby Elijah Wood, because I love. That's like one of my favorite parts is like pointing out baby Elijah Wood. Because he's in the second one, and he's
like what?
He's like 5. He's like 5 years old, 5 or 6 years old. I know. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I was like, oh, look, it's baby Elijah Wood. And my kids are like, why is he so important? And I was like, oh, he's from the Lord of the Rings movies. And Fox is like, oh, like such a oh,
that thing.
That thing you love so much. I'm like, yes, I know.
Lizzie and I were in the car, and I call it proof listening. After I do all the edits and stuff, I listen to the podcast and just make sure I didn't miss anything. And so I was listening to it in the car with Lizzie. And so she's just listening to her mom and her Aunt Abby just talking about, she thinks it's just Lord of the Rings. It technically, whatever. But she goes, Mommy, how do you know so much about Lord of the Rings?
Oh, cute. Cute. Yeah, my kids know that I love it. And so they will point it out to me if they see it randomly. Aww. Or they see. I was like, Mom, that's Lord of the Rings. You like that? I was like, I do like that. You're right.
Yes.
But which is funny because we had this conversation, my husband and I, that he's like, you should watch it with the kids. And I'm like, okay, they've seen movies that has like Narnia and Pirates of the Caribbean and stuff that has that kind of I like to call it sword violence.
Okay, yeah, sure. But do they have chopping a goblin's head off and then literally tipping it off of his shoulders because it hadn't quite fallen off yet? Does it have that level?
I mean, yeah. I mean, in one of the Pirates of the Caribbean, one of the pirates' heads gets knocked off. But I was like, what age would they get it? Because it's not so much the violence that's a problem for me, because it's like I said, they've seen what I've coined sword violence.
Well,
They've
and
seen
and they're
sword
bad guys. They
violence.
look like bad guys. It's not
Yes.
confusing.
Yes. But I was like, he's like, why can't they watch it? I'm like, it's not like censorship to me. It's the depth of the story I feel like is way too confusing for them still. Like
Maybe.
the words, like it's the language of it too. Like
Yeah.
they will say words where my kids are like, what? Like, what is that? I don't understand that at all. And then I feel like they just would never love it because they don't get it, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No, I get it.
So, like, I'm trying to think of like a
Apparently,
time of when they could be like, oh, I am understanding this enough to enjoy it instead of being like,
yeah.
there's dragons. There's a dragon
Yeah.
and shiny swords. But anyway, so I was thinking about that this week of like, what is a good time for them to fully grasp it in the sense of, oh, I understand the story plot. Like I understand. Like, I mean, I would be there kind of explaining, but I feel like
But again,
they've,
there's like little kids. Like I sent you that video the other day of this little girl. She had to have been like maybe 3 on like a little rocking horse. And she has this fake sword and this fake helmet on. And she is watching the Rohirrim charge in the Return of the King. And it just looks so cute.
yeah, she is riding her horse to aid to Gondor's, is it Gondor's aid?
Yep, yep. Okay. So, do you remember what happened last week? How much do you remember?
We got to meet the petty dwarves, which again, super sad nickname. They keep getting
Mm-hmm.
sad nicknames for people that are
Mm-hmm.
kind of lesser than in this series, in this book. But Turin and Beleg and friends were in their secret hideout, which was where the petty dwarves lived. But they were kind of also like not really wanted because one of the outlaws wolfmen guys accidentally killed one of the petty dwarfs, and so like the petty dwarfs were, or one of the main dad dwarf man was like,
Meme.
yeah, meme,
Meme.
was kind of like, I guess I'll let you stay, but he was kind of keeping it all inside.
Yeah, I think he had a respect for
And
Turin, but the rest he was maybe like, "Oh, okay, your friends can come too."
but they also hated elves
Yes.
as well, because we also learned that the elves would hunt them for like literally no reason other than
Mm-hmm.
just that they were less than them in their
Mm-hmm.
eyes, and so they hunted them, and that was unfortunate, kind of.
Not cool, elves. Not cool.
Yeah, so they were kind of like the last of their kind of dwarves.
Mm-hmm.
There were only male men
Yeah,
dwarf
it
there,
was
so
Meme
it's
and
not like
his
they could have.
2 sons. It doesn't explain it very well. So when they first encounter these dwarves, there's 3 of them.
Hmm.
So there's Meme and his 2 sons, I believe, and then one of the sons dies. So are there just 2 left then? Or was there another dwarf back at the cave? But yeah, there are a dwindling number of them.
Yes. So, because of that kind of needed therapy anger in this dwarf, he sold them out to, was it Morgoth or just like orcs
Well,
in general?
so I'm going to kind of step back here a little bit. So the outlaws, the wolfmen, and Turin and Beleg had been kind of making trouble for the orcs of Morgoth in that area specifically. It was called the Guarded Plain. Morgoth is wanting to just dominate Beleriand, and so his orcs have been steadily making their way south. But once they got to this Guarded Plain area, the Wolfmen and Beleg and Turin had kind of been stealthily wiping the orcs out from there. So they became really scared of that particular area. And there was this kind of whisper of the helm and the bow that was,
Oh,
dominating that area.
yeah.
And that is when they kind of figured out, okay, well, let's set some spies in that area to trap and, put a stop to this. And that's when the orcs come across Meme and his son. And, you say it's to sell them out. I think it might just be a bit of self-preservation. I don't know if he actually didn't like the Wolfmen. He definitely didn't like Beleg. Like I said, I haven't read the Children of Hurin book. It might be different in there. But as far as we know, Meme has no animosity towards the men. It's only towards Beleg. So he sells them out.
Some history between them, so.
Yeah. So Meme offers to show the orcs the path to his halls to kind of get rid of this helm and bow situation. But he does ask if they would save Turin, which kind of leans you towards, like, he didn't ask to save Beleg or any of the other ones, but they'd say, oh, we know who this Turin guy is, and we're not going to kill him, but we are going to take him. So that's when the orcs attack the lair, and a lot of them die in their sleep, thankfully, but some of them do manage to try and escape to the hilltop of Amon Rudh, and the ominous prophecy of the red flowers on the top of the hill looking like blood ends up coming true, as a lot of the men end up dying up there. And then after all that's over, Meme comes back and kind of sees what's happened, and he goes up to the hill and he finds Beleg, who's not quite dead. And that's when he tries killing Beleg. But
I'm not quite dead.
So he tries grabbing Beleg's sword, Anglakel, the creepy dark sword that's kind of nearby him. Beleg manages to get it back from him and thrust it towards him. Doesn't actually like hurt him, but it's enough to send Meme running off and just basically yells at him like, you'll get yours.
Yeah. So I really want someone to make a shirt that says Turin and the Wolfmen, and it's like a band shirt.
Yes.
And it's like special guest Beleg, or like special artist, or like, I think that'd be really fun.
He has to play the violin because it's the bow. You get it? You get it?
Nice.
Oh my gosh, what if they actually made a bow that could be a bow?
I mean, I think I've seen that in a Disney movie before.
Dual
it has
purpose.
To be. Yeah. Now I gotta look it up. Arrow bow as violin bow. I'm guessing it's in Robin Hood. Am I wrong?
That actually sounds right. Oh, and we forgot to mention Turin's second name change.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what it was?
What's his Hot Topic name generator?
Elf part is Gorthal. And
Gorthal?
And then the other one is the Dread Helm.
Oh, yeah. Because of his cool dragon helmet.
Cool dragon helmet. And then we also forgot to mention that when the men were attacked, they managed to take Turin away in a net.
Oh. And he's like a big butterfly net.
A big butterfly net, of course.
Oh my gosh. I just found a picture.
Did you find it?
Of Stephen Colbert dressed like Legolas, playing a bow like a violin.
I can't imagine a better illustration of my idea. That is hilarious. So last week we ended with Beleg slowly recovering enough from his wounds to start looking for Turin amongst the dead wolfmen, but he can't find him, so he must therefore conclude that he has been taken. They're taking they're taking Turin to England.
Yeah, there you go. You did it.
I did it. They're taking the hobbits to Isengard. So, any questions before we dive in?
No, but I sent you something.
I want to see this picture.
The GIF, and so it's my gift to you.
I have to see this before we go any further. That is amazing. Him without his glasses, he looks very feminine.
He's an elf.
That is a problem I find with a lot of Beleg pictures is that with the long hair, like it's hard to make them look more masculine. Like I don't want to post that one because it looks like two girls.
Yeah.
Okay, so this week we're going to start right where we left off. Beleg has just figured out that Turin was taken by the orcs that just attacked and severely wounded him. So your best friend just got kidnapped. What would you do?
Am I hurt?
You're hurt, but you're pushing through.
Okay. Am I a magical immortal being?
Yes.
Okay. I feel like he would, I don't know. You could do the option of just letting emotion take over and just like run after them. Or
the Anakin approach.
or retreat to gather more people to go help out and heal yourself and stuff, and then get like more like weapons to make sure everything will work out a little better this time.
Yeah. That I came up with the same two options. You know, like he could go to Menegroth, tell King Thingol what happened, maybe gather an army to help retrieve Turin. But on the downside, that might take a while. And in the meantime, like who knows what they're doing to Turin? He could be dead by the time you find him. Also, you're going to lose their trail. Like, what if they didn't go to Angband? Or he can go after him all by himself.
Pros and cons.
Pros and cons.
Each one.
So Beleg,
he takes out a list. He's like, okay, hold on. Like, takes out a scroll. What are the pros and cons of doing this? And his like Turin screaming in the background, like, help me! He's like, hold on. I gotta figure this out.
Gotta weigh them.
Yeah.
So Beleg, quote, with little hope, goes with option 2. He starts heading north, following the orc's tracks.
Okay. So he chose emotion.
Yes. But also, I mean, logic, you know, he has to follow the trail, you know, maybe he could catch up with to them before they get to Angband, who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Quote, now he was not far behind them, for he went without sleeping, whereas they had tarried on their road, hunting in the lands and fearing no pursuit as they came northward. And not even in the dreadful woods of the forest under nightshade did he swerve from the trail, for the skill of Beleg was greater than any that have been in Middle-earth.
Whoa.
He is one about a elf.
That's a big title.
I want Beleg to meet your man, Arome. I wish the Valar were more involved. But no.
I know.
So, I'm not sure. I mentioned the forest under Nightshade. We're going to be here for a little bit. I'm not sure if you remember that. It's the creepy kind of Snow White forest that we talked about a few times. The one that Sauron went to as a vampire bat. Like, it's a pretty dark and creepy forest. So,
pretty metal.
Beleg is following the orcs that have Turin. And he is such a bad elf that he's actually getting close to catching up to them. So it's nighttime. He's going through the creepy forest when all of a sudden he sees something up ahead, lying at the foot of a great dead tree. He sees a sleeping elf.
Oh, what?
All by himself, just laying there asleep. So he wakes this elf up. First of all, rude.
He pokes him with a stick. He's like...
Or he has that moment, alive or dead? Alive or dead?
Yeah.
So he wakes him up. He gives him some of his magical lembas and basically asks him, what are you doing in this awful place?
Yeah.
And coincidentally, we have actually met this elf before. Beleg might have even met him too in the past. But the elf in front of him looks very different to the one that he might have known. We haven't talked about this guy in a while, but I think he's pretty memorable myself.
Is it Derek from the band?
It is not Derek from the band, but that's a very good guess.
Dang it. Is it?
So I'll give you some hints. He was one of the few elves that came from Nargothrond to the Battle of Unnumbered Tears. It was his brother that he had thought died along with Finrod, who he just wanted to avenge, only to see him alive, but then quickly mutilated and killed before his eyes. The elf who made it all the way to Morgoth's very own throne room, but was sadly captured before he could enter the door.
Ugh.
Okay, you remember the guy, but you don't remember his name, right?
No. Yeah.
Okay. So his name is Gwyndor.
Oh.
So
he's the one that had just like bad luck. Like he's like got so close to so many things and then it didn't work out.
Quote, grieving, Beleg looked upon him, for Gwyndor was now but a bent and fearful shadow of his former shape and mood. When, in the battle of unnumbered tears, that lord of Nargothrond rode with rash courage to the very doors of Angband, and there was taken.
So close.
So close. So, apparently, many of the Noldor that were captured during that battle, they weren't immediately killed because they were useful. They had skills in foraging and mining and... Sorry, not foraging. Forging. They were good at making, not gathering herbs and things.
Forging.
Yeah,
not foraging.
Yeah, sorry. I can read words.
Babies are good at that too. You don't know.
Maybe they are. Quote, by secret tunnels known only to themselves, the mining elves might sometimes escape. And thus it came to pass that Beleg found him, spent and bewildered in the mazes of the forest under Nightshade.
Oh no, is he crazy now?
He's not
like
crazy.
A crazy hobo?
He's not a crazy hobo per se. He might look like one because of all he's gone through, but
he's like, what are you talking about? I'm not by myself. Look at my friends. They're all right here. Beleg's like, okay.
Well, while
this
he
is
was
my friend Tina, and he like pulls out like a sock puppet, or it's like a dead squirrel corpse. He's like,
that is what it would
be.
Yes,
I'm Tina, his best friend.
Well, while he was talking with Tina, Gwyndor had actually been in the forest when Turin and the orcs had passed through. And Gwyndor had even seen Turin himself and told Beleg, he's like, yeah, I saw this guy. He was pretty tall. His hands were chained and they were driving him forward with whips. Is that your friend?
Oh no. Is he like the in The Good Dinosaur, that crazy dinosaur that lives in the forest, and he has all the like animals?
Oh, not Spot. He might have looked like Spot. But this is the one that tells me to have realistic goals.
Yeah.
And then this is Debbie.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
I mean, he said that place drives people crazy, so.
Yeah, I like it. So Beleg is like, yes, that's my buddy. I've been following this orc army to save him. And Gwynder's like, no. Bad idea. Because if you try and go over there, I don't know if you realize it's an orc army. So you'll probably just end up in
one person.
Yeah. You'll probably just end up in chains right next to your friend. But Beleg won't take no for an answer. He won't give up on Turin or Gwyndor for that matter.
So do they team up? Does he finally get him out of the forest and he's not alone anymore?
Yeah. So, quote, despairing himself, he aroused hope again in Gwyndor's heart, and together they went on, following the orcs.
Yay! And then he had to brush his hair like he did Turin's hair.
Yes.
Like, you guys. He's like,
have you not heard of a comb?
Personal hygiene.
If you don't look good on the outside, how are you going to feel on the inside, Gwyndor?
Yeah.
But I would love to know the pep talk that he gave him because, I mean, this guy, He's been a prisoner of Morgoth for who knows how long. His spirit, his hope, most definitely crushed. And somehow, Beleg convinces him to join him to go after this orc army to save someone who he has never met.
That just proves how good of a guy Glyndor is.
Yes. And how awesome Beleg is. Gwyndor.
Yeah. And do you think Beleg's like, Tina also believes in you?
Tina actually told me that she is kind of disappointed in you, but she'd be really proud of you if you did this for her.
Yes. She believes in you. Don't you, Tina?
Yes, I do.
Or he's like, yes, I do. Oh my gosh, she does.
So Beleg, Gwyndor, and Tina come out of the creepy forest and are now just entering Anfoglith, or the Gasping Dust. Remember, that's the barren plain that the Battle of Unnumbered Tears was on?
The one that got, like...
It was all nice and green and then got inflamed, yeah. So this is where they finally catch up to the orcs and find their encampment. And Anfoglith is just within sight of the peaks of Thangorodrim, which means Angband is very close. So this is going to be their last chance to rescue Turin before he, gets in deep. So yes. The orcs have made camp for the night. They set up a watch of wolf sentinels. Apparently that's a thing. And then,
cool.
Thinking the job's over, almost over, they just start drinking and, quote, carousing. Carousing.
Do they have like a hoedown around the fire?
Maybe. I actually looked up the definition of carousing because I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, I get the idea of it, but if I were to define it, I couldn't. Apparently, it does involve drinking. Like, that is a part of the definition. So you have to be drunk and you have to be loud and having fun. That is the definition of carousing.
Oh, so it's like a frat party.
Yeah. So the orcs are having a frat party.
Those like parties you always see in movies that are like in the middle of the forest with like fire, and they're like always like high schoolers and like college students.
That is exactly what's happening. But these orcs have wolf sentinels, so that's the only difference. Other than that, it's exactly spot on.
They brought their orc girlfriends.
Yeah.
Who don't want to be there.
But that is when, all of a sudden, a great storm starts.
Ooh, okay.
And I will tell you later, it's debated who sent this storm, if it was sent by anyone. I mean, it could have been just the weather, but, Valar, Morgoth, who has to benefit from this storm?
I can't remember. Are any of the Valar
only
in charge of storms?
Oh, in charge of storms? Well, I mean, Manwë's wind. Osei is like ocean storms. So it'd be like a combination of Ulmo and Manwë, like water and wind.
Yeah.
But they don't have like a Thor. They don't have no lightning.
They don't have like a elements like rain and storms and...
It is surprising that he didn't do the typical elements. Anyway. Okay. So brace yourselves for epic quotage here. Okay. You ready?
Okay.
Quote, "And lightning glittered on the shadowy mountains far away as Beleg and Gwyndor crept towards the dell. When all in the camp were sleeping, Beleg took his bow and in the darkness shot the wolf sentinels, one by one and silently. Then, in great peril, they entered in, and they found Turin fettered hand and foot and tied to a tree. And all about him, knives that had been cast at him were embedded in the trunk, and he was senseless."
They were throwing knives at him?
Yeah. It's a fun game when you're carousing.
Yes.
"And he was senseless and asleep of great weariness. But Beleg and Gwyndor cut the bonds that held him, and lifting him, they carried him out of the dell. Yet they could bear him no further than to a thicket of thorn trees a little way above. There they laid him down, and now the storm drew very near. Beleg drew his sword Anglekel, and with it he cut the fetters that bound Turin. But fate was that day more strong, for the blade slipped as he cut the shackles, and Turin's foot was pricked. Then he was aroused into a sudden wakefulness of rage and fear, and seeing one bending over him with naked blade, he leapt up with a great cry, believing that orcs were come again to torment him, and grappling with him in the darkness, he seized Anglekel and slew Beleg, thinking him a foe.
What? What? What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
I'm in shock. Like,
Yep.
What?
Yeah. So
that's a horrible. Oh, okay.
Yep.
Tolkien.
I know, right? Tolkien? Why do you got to do my man Beleg like that? He was the best of them.
I know, and he was like so friendly. He was being so nice, and he tried to help him like so many times, and he sacrificed so much, and he spent so many years doing this to only be killed by this person.
Mm-hmm. You know, I've noticed our two favorite. I'm gonna say Beleg's one of our favorites, right? So Beleg and Finrod are our favorites. I'm just saying that right now. They both died like heroic, but also like, come on, like.
I know. Oh man,
I so sad. Quote, but as he stood, finding himself free and ready to sell his life dearly against imagined foes, there came a great flash of lightning above them, and in its light, he looked down on Beleg's face. Then,
oh my god,
Turin
how could he mistake him for an orc? Like, he is an elf man. How?
I don't know. Then Turin stood stone still and silent, staring on the dreadful death, knowing what he had done. And so terrible was his face, lit by the lightning that flickered all about them, that Gwyndor cowered upon the ground and dared not raise his eyes.
Oh, man. Oh, now I'm grumpy. Now he has a real reason to run away. He did murder someone this time.
Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to bring back my question. Who sent the storm? So you would think the Valar are trying to help. You know, they're going to send in the storm as cover, you know, so Beleg and Gwyndor can rescue him. But it was the storm that, you know, made it all dark and rainy and, you know, maybe it was hard to see. So Turin ended up killing Beleg because of it. So was it maybe?
Well, he probably has like, what's that word? Not shell shock, but more of like, he was just so.
Yeah.
What's the word? Like
in what is that word? It's not PTSD necessarily. It's more than that.
It's like
fight or flight.
Yeah. Like on edge.
Yeah.
Like
he's so traumatized that he just couldn't see.
Sad.
Yeah. And poor Gwyndor must have been so confused and scared. Like, what is wrong with you? I thought you two were friends, and then you kill him? What the heck?
What the heck? What the heck, dude?
So the sound of thunder
I'm out. Come on, Tina, let's go.
No. So, okay, so this scene. Turin just kills Beleg, and then the lightning comes, sees that it's Beleg. Turin is like horrified, and then it shoots to Gwyndor and Tina, and all of a sudden they just like turn and look at each other with like Did you see that coming?
It's a squirrel skeleton, and then his jaw falls off. Like he's like so shocked that like the jawbone falls.
So
anyway, very sad.
Very sad, very sad. So the sound of the thunder happened to wake the orcs up, but they were more worried because They weren't like, oh, lightning scary. They're like, oh my gosh, the Valar have sent things that are going to kill us. So they're just freaking out. Their camp was, quote, in a tumult. So Gwyndor sees the orcs are freaking out and tries calling out to Turin like, hey, I don't know what your deal is right now. I know you're going through some stuff, but we really should get going. But Turin didn't, or maybe even couldn't hear him. Quote, but sat unmoving and unweeping in the tempest beside the body of Beleg.
So sad.
So sad. So when morning comes, the storm is gone, and the orcs, figuring that, well, I guess our prisoner's gone. Yeah, he's probably dead or long gone. Let's not try to go look for him. That's too much work. We're just going to go back to bed now. Quote,
they had hangovers.
They had hangovers, yeah. Quote, and left behind them the son of Hurin, who sat crazed and unwitting, bearing a burden heavier than their bonds.
Poor guy.
So Gwyndor, he's been keeping an eye on things. He sees the orcs' army's gone, and he knows the coast is clear now. So he rouses Turin. I don't know what shirt he shakes him, slaps him, I don't know. And together they bury Beleg. Quote, and he rose as one that walked in sleep. And together they laid Beleg in a shallow grave, and placed beside him his great bow. But the dread sword Anglakel Gwyndor took, saying that it were better that it should take vengeance on the servants of Morgoth than lie useless in the dirt. And he took also the lembas of Melian to strengthen them in the wild.
Oh. Again, a great character randomly buried where no one, no...
Yeah.
Funeral, no great burial site of beautiful carvings or stuff like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Another character where he
deserves so much
more. That's just where they are.
Yeah. Who else is going to know that he's there? Yeah. So I'm just going to say, I'm pretty sure the sword would have been better to stay in the ground, but I mean, if you're leaving the bow,
freaky sword.
The freaky sword. And also, how many lembas did Melian give Beleg anyway? How small are these? Are they small? Am I thinking that they're bigger? He just has so many. He keeps giving them out and they never see. Is it like a magic thing where it just is never ending supply? The bag is always full?
Maybe. That'd be cool.
That would be very cool. Quote, thus ended Beleg's strongbow. Truest of friends, greatest in skill of all that harbored in the wood of Beleriand in the elder days, at the hand of him whom he loved most. And that grief was graven on the face of Turin and never faded. R.I.P. Beleg.
Oh.
There is only one good thing to come out of this horrific incident. Okay. And that is Gwyndor. He got his courage and his strength back, and whether that was from not being alone anymore or whatever, Beleg,
he was never alone.
He always had Tina.
Yeah.
Or whatever Beleg's pep talk was, or seeing that maybe, man, this Turin guy's really messed up. I guess my life's not so bad. But
no.
Gwyndor was able to take charge and kind of took over the role of guarding and guiding Turin. And together they went far away. Quote, never once as they wandered together on long and grievous paths did Turin speak, and he walked as one without wish or purpose. So he's just kind of drifting along.
So
zombie.
Devastating.
Yeah. So along their journey, they come to a place called Eithel Ivrin, and this is kind of a special water spring lake area. It actually fed one of the main rivers in Beleriand, Narog, and it was also very old. So old that Ulmo protected it, quote, so that it would remain unsullied and undefiled. And it was also famous for its beauty because of that. Quote, there Gwyndor spoke to Turin, saying, awake, Turin, son of Hurin! On Ivrin's lake is endless laughter. She is fed from crystal fountains unfailing, and guarded from defilement by Ulmo, lord of waters, who wrought her beauty in ancient days. Then Turin knelt and drank from that water, and suddenly he cast himself down, and his tears were unloosed at last, and he was healed of his madness.
Poor guy.
Yeah. I don't know how a lake can have laughter or even endless amounts of it, but I want some of that water. It sounds delicious.
I know. Happy water. Make the sadness go away.
Tina approves.
Yeah.
And it is at this moment that Turin writes a song for Beleg called The Song of the Great Bow. And he just sings it there, doesn't care who hears it. And somehow this song and Turin's wonderful display of vulnerability proves to Gwyndor that he's emotionally stable enough to be handed back the weapon he killed his best friend with.
Okay.
He's like, this is a good time.
Yeah. This won't bring up any bad memories or anything, I'm sure.
Yeah. Then Gwyndor says, quote, "This is a strange blade, and unlike any that I have seen in Middle-earth. It mourns for Beleg, even as you do." What?
How would they know that?
I don't know. That's why this sword is so creepy and weird. So
it has little sword tears.
Like, did Beleg tell it bedtime stories or something? Like,
yeah. Dad, no!
He fed me the best blood.
Yeah.
He made sure I was always sharp.
Yeah, and shiny.
So, in all this time that Turin and Gwyndor have been together, they've actually not had a single conversation. So, now that Turin is talking and is somewhat stable, they get to talking. And Gwyndor decides, I want to take you to Nargothrond with me. And Turin's like, who are you? I've been meaning to ask. I've been wondering. So Gwyndor explains himself as, quote, "A wandering elf, a thrall escaped, whom Beleg met and comforted. Yet once I was Gwyndor, a lord of Nargothrond, until I went to the battle of unnumbered tears and was enslaved in Angband." And then Turin gets kind of excited. He and everyone else outside of Angband never knew what happened to Horin after the Battle of Unnumbered Tears. So he asks Gwyndor, like, "Have you seen my dad? Like, you must know." Gwyndor then says, quote, "I have not seen him, but rumor of him runs through Angband that he still defies Morgoth, and Morgoth has laid a curse upon him and all his kin."
Oh no.
This is one of my favorite parts. To which Turin replies, "That I do believe."
Yeah.
Like,
Makes
tell
sense.
me about
Makes
it.
sense. Yeah.
Story of my life. Like, oh, that makes sense why my life sucks.
Yeah.
So they continue on their journey until they come onto the borders of Nargothrond, where they are quickly taken prisoner by the elf scouts of Nargothrond and are taken to the hidden stronghold. Quote, "Thus did Turin come to Nargothrond." The end.
Of Turin's sad adventures.
No, it's not.
Well,
if you think this
of
ends
course it's
happily,
not.
you haven't been paying attention.
Yes. I mean, he does have a curse on his head, right? From his...
Yeah. Poor Beleg.
Poor guy.
Such
Poor
a good
guy.
And I've been trying to think of, like, if you were around someone that you had seen as a child and then to a man, I mean, what would your relationship? Are you best friends? Are you like the fun uncle? Are you the father? Like, what do you think their relationship dynamic was like?
I think it's like that, like uncle, father, parental guardian. Like, you're without a father, you're kind of drifting. I feel like he saw him when he was like a teenager, when he was like, "Hey, don't run away. Like, how about you come help me with this?" And tried to like keep him stable when he has such like a sad life.
Yeah. Like, if you were to ask Turin who raised him, would he say Thingol or would he say Beleg? I think he'd say Beleg.
I feel like Thingol didn't have the time to do that. Like, I think
that's true.
maybe like was there and like taught him some stuff, but I think Beleg was like the,
Taught
with
him the
him always
important things.
teaching him the more, human things.
Yeah. How to be a man and such.
Yeah. Manners, which evidently he didn't have
I
because
was
he
going to
still
say, he
like
must not have
ran
done a great
away.
job. Or was it the curse? How much is the curse and how much is Turin?
Yeah. Well, Turin still has to prove himself to me because right now he's gotten major demerits here.
But was it his fault?
I know.
And yeah, so at this point, are you saying hero or villain?
Well, it's all the circumstances that are coming up against him. So he's not choosing to be evil. He's just
No.
like all circumstantial, you know?
Yeah. True. But I feel like it's one of those things like if you looked at I don't want to say body count, but like okay, you think of the after you play a I can't I think like Halo. Like you play Halo and you see how many kills you had and then like how many deaths. Like where on the scales is he more helping the bad guys or is he more helping the good guys? Like how
Yeah.
has his life affected the scales?
Yeah. I mean, he took out one of their best fighters.
Right. But he did also kill a lot of orcs over the years, and the helm and the bow did their damage for a while. But yeah, he did take out poor Beleg.
That poor guy.
Poor Beleg.
He just like wanted to make sure he was okay, and the typical teenager, young adult, he's like, "You don't know me. I'm out of here. You're not my real dad."
I feel like that conversation came up quite a bit.
Yeah.
Well,
oh man, oh wait, is it a spoiler? No. He Ben Solo and Han Solo.
Oh no, Kylo. I am not on Team Kylo. That's one thing I don't like about the new Star Wars.
Kylo Ren.
I don't get it.
Love him.
I know you do. He killed Han Solo. He will never be forgiven by me.
I know. Han Solo is my favorite character. But I know.
How dare you say you like Kylo Ren? All right. Anyways, we got
thanks for teaching me today.
You're welcome. We got a new country.
Okay, I'm going to guess continent. I'm going to say Africa.
No.
Asia.
Yes.
I'm going to say Thailand.
Close. I think we might already have Thailand. It's Singapore.
Oh, cool.
Which I always think of every time I read it. I think Singapore from Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Singapore. So obviously it's a pirate that's joining us. Thank you, Captain Singapore.
Thank you
for listening. We're so close to 3,000 plays. So
come on, guys, we can do it. Come on, guys, we can do it.
Yes,
we can do it.
We can do it. And then follow us on Instagram at Sisters of the Shire Podcast. We are just over 2,000. Whoop whoop.
Woohoo!
And make sure to rate and review, please. We need to give them some kind of incentive. Like if we get up to 30 reviews, we will sing a song. We will do a happy dance on something.
Give you a shout out personally.
But we can't because we don't know who reviews.
They can tell us on Instagram and be like, hey, I left you a review.
Okay, yeah, do that then. Tell us you reviewed. Prove it. I want proof. I don't know how you prove it. But
Screenshot it.
Screenshot it, yep. And then we will personally shout you out and give you all of the love that we can deliver over the airwaves.
Guys, reviewing takes like no time at all. It really doesn't.
Just hit the 5.
I know you guys can do it.
5. Yeah. Done.
It's easy. You can do this. So easy. Thank you to those who've already done it.
Yes.
That's awesome.
I'm just saying we have 2,000 followers on Instagram, but we have like 20 reviews. There's a disconnect there. Come on,
people. The math ain't mathin'.
The math ain't mathin'. Well, until next week, I've been Ashley.
And I'm Abby. And thanks for joining us today. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.